It feels like a GUMAYUSI ban and just a very popular ban at the moment.
Yeah, strong meta ban, not always first picked with some of the other really strong champions you can B1 in this meta. The Gwen, the Jace, then the Fury, but it feels like a strong blue side ban, where you don't want to give that over in trade. Vi taken away as well, so we could see potentially Sponge looking for that first pick Naafiri if it is left available. You and I, we mentioned it earlier in the previous series, we're not super high on it ourselves at the moment. Looks like T1 feeling somewhat similarly. Well, they'll ban the Sejuani, which has been Sponge's favorite throughout his career, so I think there's a little bit of flavor of that in this ban as well.
We saw the graphic come up as well at the very beginning, and it was Rich on his Gwen and Sponge on his Sejuani. So they've done their homework, and they've banned both of those. Or at least they had our points of the match leaked to them early. So that's going to give them all the tips that they needed.
Well, here's the choice. You know, do they go for that Naafiri ban, or will they just simply leave it up and look for something stronger and they value higher? The Skarner, of course, another consideration.
Tally
taken away.
That's a big pick for you, Cal. You can understand the ban, but it does mean that Naafiri is up and available. I just think it might be a trap. It has only won one game thus far.
You could play Skarner, which feels pretty good into Naafiri as well.
Yeah, wouldn't mind it. And also, you could just pick anything else and just allow that Skarner option to be there for Sponge if you would like it. I mean, Maokai's there as well. There's plenty that you can do to sort of nullify the matchup if you'd like. Jace is up and available for Rich, another huge one there as they wear out the clock, and it is Naafiri that's locked in, so they're not going to risk giving that one over to Ona, but still, it feels like a huge risk.
T1 did opt into leaving this up. They must feel that they have a good enough answer, or they simply think the pick against coordinated play isn't as strong as others believe. And in return, they'll get Faker's most iconic pick. He's got the Faker smile.
Yeah, there's a smirk. Yeah, that is a smirk right there.
He's got his hand on his chin as if he was pensive, but I don't think there was a second thought he ever gave to this one. So. Now, the Jace into the Rumble, we talked about it earlier, but can be quite strong early. You can dominate that lane. Naafiri relies a lot on Prio to make a lot of rotations happen and to look for aggressive plays early, so the Jace feels good here. We have seen Aurora win lane into Azir. Now, it is UCal versus Faker. You know, it's not 2018, but it is a very peaking UCal right now against a Faker whose form is currently unknown, but I do like this first rotation here for DRX. We were a little bit on the fence about Naafiri, but they've got two soul laners to help set it up.
Yeah, I don't mind this as far as a Naafiri angle, though, for DRX. They have a lot of shove. They can actually control a lot of this top side of the map. With Rich and UCal in decent form at the moment, there's an opportunity for Sponge to make something happen. That being said, I mean, this T1 draft so far is just... They are at home with their slippers on, you know, it's so comfortable. PJs, you know, the real soft ones. Oh, everything is just feeling it.
I mean, Owner's Xinjiao in LCK Cup was insane.
Oh, yeah.
And he was, for me, next to Peanut, by far the second best jungler that we had throughout the tournament. Just way more consistent than Canyon was, for sure, even though Canyon made the finals. Kai'Sa gets banned against Teddy here. Both of these AD carries, you know, have played a decent amount of Kai'Sa throughout their career. Guma's been criticized for it quite a bit. Yeah, we see the ban of the Misfortune. We'll see if it's going to be a support ban or just the Ashe, which is the last mainstay relevant AD carry here. We've gone kind of deep down the pool here. See what Guma wants to go for in his first game back.
Yeah, we are in the weeds.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Does have, you know, his Caitlyn as an option, although nerfed on this patch. I think Corki is probably the next as far as going down the tier list is concerned, unless I've missed something.
We could go for an old Guma carry a classic and do a Senna lane or something like that. There's a lot of options. Jhin is certainly one that people like you have raised eyebrows at.
I don't mind it with the amount of DPS that you get from an Azir. I think it's totally fine to bring in something that's a little bit more utility. So this Jhin angle is not the worst. And it's GUMAYUSI. He has a Jhin card.
And when also so many other AD carries that can perform well into Jhin are removed, it feels like it's a lot safer to lock this one in. I'm really curious to see what Tay's going to bring. That Corki is going to be the option here. Very strong into outside of this Xinjiao, a very squishy lineup here for T1, especially in the mid game. When he can hit that 2-item spike, he is going to be incredibly powerful. They'll take the Rel as well, interestingly, which will nerf Misfortune for the rest of this series, as she will not be able to have that combo moving forward.
See what Carrier is going to pick up. Can go towards, you know, just win lane, win game if they'd like to pick up a ranged support, but instead it's going to be the Alistar, something that he's had phenomenal success on, but isn't going to give them a whole lot of laning power in the very early game.
Yeah, it's a trade-off of how
lineup as far as the champions are concerned. If they're going forward, things are looking good, but if they get stopped, if they get stifled, I mean, T1 will slowly but surely whittle you down and destroy you. They've done it in the past. We'll see whether they can do it again. All right, we are on the T1 side of LoL Park, so obviously the fan chants were the same volume, weren't they, Wolf? I just, it's a bit confusing because of proximity for me.
Strangely enough, when I look over at the DRX side, it looks very red as well.
Huh.
Just because there's a lot.
No, that's the CGV cups.
Ah, that was it. Okay.
That's what you can see. Otherwise,
they wear the cups now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cups have zippers and some sponsor logos.
Yeah, and they say T1 on them. It's really weird. Okay. DRX have managed to get some vision down. You can see it's kind of traded. Not too much really deep vision or anything like that because no one going for any sort of big early invades. Just a 5-point defense system here from T1 as Faker gets the first CS of the game. Owner as well was the one that spotted it out and pinged it, so he's got a bit of extra money. Look at that, 10 gold. Yeah, T1 are infinitely ahead right now.
True. Let's see how Carrier navigates the early laning phase here on this Alistar. Very experienced player. Jin's base damage is good, but the shred of the Corki is going to be a problem if they do end up getting caught and held under a Gatling gun.
Yep.
They will not enjoy it.
Do you feel like Teddy and Andal will have a bit of power in this game, in this lane?
Yes.
Just with the fact that GUMAYUSI is going to spend what feels like 50% of the time reloading.
Electrocute is a rune.
Yeah, Yukal has demonstrated that.
It's not an ultimate ability or anything like that, but it's very strong. It has been buffed repeatedly, and Aurora can win out those trades early. It's level 2 for Carrier.
Yeah, gets a pulverize here. It's Deadly Flourish out, and Andal is in trouble. Lit on fire here. Holds the flash until the last second. But yeah, he's not laning too much anymore. We'll see how Teddy's going to be able to survive this.
Does have his potion, which will help him.
Yeah, it's pretty good at this stage of the game when you don't have very much health, so.
It'll help him a little bit. He opts to use it, but Guma got his 4th shot in as well, so a lot of damage there. Flash down as well for Andal. It's pretty big. Limits some of his power coming out of this. Ability to potentially get on top of Guma and punish him, so feeling pretty good about that.
Yep. Having a look in at Rich versus Doran, this is a matchup, like, I mean, this is a champion that Rich was known for even when he first debuted, right? When his champion pool was certainly held into question quite a lot, which makes sense when you're moving over from another game. And without too many things that you've put that much mastery into. He was already good at it at that time. Is now Yukal closing the gap yet again. Another Electrocute proc. He only needs to hit another ability and a half, and he will be able to take down Faker, and in the end, is able to deny a cannon.
Yeah, the timing of this as well, when Faker's trying to get that cannon, the wave is far away from him, can't do anything, and has to back and teleport so early, while Yukal is still extremely healthy, as well as mana healthy, means that Yukal could potentially look to do this again. Now, here comes Owner and Carrier.
I think Yukal may need to use some abilities. He flashes, Sponge is here, but Yukal is really dead. That is going to be first blood going over to Owner. And just a little greedy is good old Yukal, even
Yukal,
using the flash.
You've been in this league for so long. You know, you took a little break, but the Faker taunt, God, you really...
It's not even a Faker taunt, it's the minion taunt.
Yeah, he went up aggressively traded and then pushed super hard while Faker was returning to lane and got caught by 2 gankers, even though Sponge was nearby, wasn't able to assist. Loses his life and his flash, as Faker still holds on to his, so the tables have definitely turned in this mid lane after this play. As you can see, Yukal goes invis, tries to use the weirding device space to get back to
followed him with the flash. Carrier pretty good at this game, isn't he?
He is quite solid. Puts in the flash cooldown timer into the chat.
Heck yeah. And that also is his own flash cooldown timer, although he can ping that at any time. But it is cool to also give that information when maybe they just didn't want to press tab. Never mind. Faker now clearing out this wave. Yukal will be able to pick that one up pretty comfortably. I don't feel like it's end of the world for the mid lane, just given the fact that Faker wasn't able to get an assist or really anything off the back end of this. Yukal pulling the wave himself here, does manage to lock down that cannon. I was nervous for a second, but no -1s here. Zandal's moving over. Yukal not quite finding it there onto Faker, but he does use the shifting sands in order to get himself out of the way.
Keria playing the map really well. Guma swapping to top, not interacting with the Corki too much. Finds himself at a pretty nice advantage. They got the flash out of Andil earlier. Keria used his incredibly well in that gank, obviously. And it's just T1's early map prowess.
Well,
speaking of,
standing on vision. Does manage to crash down, gets himself away, and also eats an ignite. Keria pretty hyphy on that one, really wanting to press his ignite button as often as possible.
As Yukal wants to do something here, but I don't think it's going to happen, as Faker doesn't have ult, is very far away from it, but still is extremely healthy.
He is keeping the weirding on cooldown as often as possible. Yukal really making sure he's putting this Aurora through her paces as much as he can. Doran has got the equalizer though, right as these grubs are spawning, but he's in the bottom lane without teleport, so never mind. That's not going to really pay too much of a difference here, as Ona now in trouble. Only level 5 as Sponge goes untargetable, but Ona's very targetable. It's Yukal that grabs that kill here as Keria has to get out of there, and these grubs belong to DRX.
Yeah, if Owner had ult, the situation looks totally different, but at level 5, that's simply not available, and he is just completely blasted to death. And that is a kill on the board here for DRX, but as you mentioned, arguably more importantly, grubs going over as well. Denying grubs from an Azir always feels really good. And the Jace side lane power is definitely a thing that we'll have to talk about later on in this game.
Yeah.
Owner just goes in onto Andil here without really any support, and it's a Jace here. It's not the most ideal situation for him there. Perhaps just saw blood in the water. As Teddy.
Ooh. The curtains have been called. The final bullet was not enough to kill him, but did certainly put the fear of God in him. Andil will get knocked up, but does Shattering Strike Owner here as well. Andil just really wants to make sure this Brambleback goes over to its rightful jungler, and that looks to be something that he will achieve. So nicely done there, Andil. Faker hitting level 7 here in the mid lane, and just slowly but surely farming up towards that Azir critical mass.
They're really trying to play through the fact that Faker has a lot of control right now. Owner has level 6. And they're getting a lot of value out of this. Doran coming over as well.
Yep, Doran getting in amongst it.
And there's just no cross map here. It's just a losing battle. DRX are trying to contest, but are finding nothing. And T1 just get a lot of pressure done. Take the Raptors, come over here, pull this red buff back. And they don't see Teddy right now, but they can reasonably assume he's heading back towards the bottom lane, and will be seen there in just a moment. And they just get away with this. You could see a rotation over for Sponge, but there's nothing really to grab. They'll only get the Raptors in return.
Yeah, so he will be able to grab the enemy Raptors, so there's at least an even trade there.
He's on a ward, so Faker knows that he's there. Owner can come back up and protect, so Faker's not in any danger either.
Yep, red buff is spawning right now, so Owner is making a beeline over there. And now the equalizer is coming down. Andil gets out of the way of it. Him and Teddy running away from one Rumble is a little bit of a worry, but there was an Alistair waiting in the wings, so I think right to play it safe.
Feels really good if you are the solo top laner into the bottom duo and you're winning out.
Oh, Keria going for it once again here as Yukal trying to use his wall here and does manage to do so in the end. Even Keria taking a lot of damage in trade. But putting that ult on cooldown, big deal here.
And Yukal and Faker both getting their teleports back online momentarily. Yukal just got his flashback as well. Didn't have it for that exchange, but didn't need it because he could utilize his ultimate. But yeah, getting the ult cooldown feels really nice. Not going to be useful for the next big fight, which could have potentially been over this dragon. We haven't had the dragon taken by either side just yet, but with Yukal losing his ult, Faker having some prio here, it's definitely looking T1 favored at the moment for that first objective, or the first major objective.
Yep, we need to see DRX sort of make something happen. Yukal, that was very satisfying. But now the Drake has been started.
It's just so tough without the Aurora ult to make a fight happen here.
Yeah. Doran now Sponge throwing some daggers around. Doran was on the mind because he's in the top lane without equalizer available. So won't be able to affect this fight here. As Yukal, once again, softening up Keria. He's only level 4. As that's a steal from Sponge. And Ona now trying to get out of there, but I don't know whether he's going to be able to. They just close the gap on that Crescent Guard as Faker looks for the Emperor's Divide. He gets it. Sponge goes on targetable, flashes from Carrier, and Carrier will be taken down. It's Andal that gets the kill, but now he's right on top of this teleport. The curtains, they've been called, doesn't land onto Sponge for the last bullet, and it's highway robbery!
And Doran TP's in for nothing! And Teddy's up here going, thanks for the freebie! Is Sponge the best Nefiri in the LCK?
Maybe.
I mean, that was a fantastic steal from him, and he played the team fight out so incredibly well, too. Gets out, nobody dies. As look at Sponge here, he's on vision, comes in here, drops the first Q, Owner not able to secure the smite, and then ults Owner, and as the turn comes through, they're looking for Owner, he's got Crescent Guard up, Faker hits the Nefiri, but then Sponge just presses W, walks out, Carrier goes in for the play, but there's too many people to block the Jhin damage, so Sponge gets out, and then the ult is blocked again here, so Guma just unable to get anything, and Doran TP's in for nothing. And Sponge, man, he is the most successful Robert the Bandit of this
100%.
game.
Sponge, absolutely fantastically played, but Carrier almost killed. Like, if Sponge hadn't have flashed that headbutt pole, that would have been like one of the classic Carrier God plays, you know? Gets the 3-man knock-up, then all of the AoE is layered. Doran might actually get there in time. Oh, it's a bit of an unfortunate situation for Grubs now for DRX as well.
Yeah, they get Dragon. They're looking for more.
Well, Carrier only level 5 here, and Sponge still trying to keep it interesting, but T1 should be able to get 2 of them. Good untargetable there as Andal. He's got other things on his mind. Shattering Strike comes down as Doran uses a very defensive ultimate. Yukal still doing a lot of damage though, as we can see, as Sponge is just bouncing around the rift. Another teleport to come in, this time from Faker, and Rich has followed suit, looking for an angle here as this scuffle will continue. Faker bleeding for now, but it's Andal that's the target, and he will be taken down immediately. It's traded though as Owner. That's a phenomenal ult, but I think he's still dead. The bleed is ticking, and he's still going to be taken out. That is a Yukal with a double. And this Aurora is going to be mega fed this game.
I remember, too, at the beginning of the fight, Yukal had an opportunity to ult to kill Doran and decided not to use it because he knew there was higher value.
Yukal.
What a sick play there from Yukal as well.
Is this 2018 LCK Summer Champion Yukal?
It seems like it. And, I mean, with how well Sponge is playing this early game, too, DRX looking fantastic. Another plate is going to go over, but yeah, Yukal holds his ult until the fight over the Grubs, and Faker has committed his way in. We have all the TPs coming through. Rich shows up, and then he drops the TP. He could have ulted Doran here. He just lets him go. He's like, just gonna let him go. I'm gonna hold my ult. I'm gonna use it for the fight because I want this 5v5. Rich is calling. He's coming in. Faker shows up as well. The Faker's in a really awkward spot here, and Sponge, because he has such long engage range, can actually get on top of Owner from so far away, and there's just no getting out here for T1. A clean fight from DRX.
Yeah. Sponge starting to pick up some of these resets in these fights as well. You can see 003 now does have his Eclipse completed. And the Nefiri doing what it says on the tin, or what we expected the tin to say.
That's what I was told was on the tin.
Yeah. The tins have been a little bit weird. Maybe it's just baked beans sometimes. As now Andal finds himself a cow. Carrier still level 5. And Andal has that Magnet Storm available. They're not going to be using it right now, but this turret looking worse for wear. As Rich will be able to clear out this minion wave very comfortably. Doran tries his best to threaten.
I like that DRX decide not to hard force there on the top side, even though the turret's super low. They don't know where Guma is, and they just decide to back away.
I mean, feats of strength are basically theirs, so I don't think they really need to worry about it too much.
Yeah. I mean, they can also just continue to push this as T1
minus
reset.
1 in the chat. Oh, Yukal's going to basically be behind Faker.
Look at Yukal's gold lead.
Yeah.
At even CS, so 3 kills now, first brick.
And full local gold for first brick. There it goes.
Yeah.
Now 1.5.
This is wild, what we are watching right now.
I mean, it is just DRX looking way better.
Yeah, they look like a really good team.
Yeah, I love this. And we were having this conversation, right? Like, which team in the LCK is actually the struggling team? We saw even B&K taking a game off DK yesterday. Yeah, it was, I mean, there's an asterisk or 2 there because DK were playing a little bit weird. I think there are a few teams like Bro is struggling in the LCK at the moment, but I do feel like the level of competition hasn't been this high in the LCK for a really long time.
Certainly.
Oftentimes there's like a clear split between like the top 4, top 5, and the rest of the pack.
I mean, B&K almost took a game off Gen G in LCK Cup.
Right?
It feels like anyone can beat anyone on their best day, as Doran should be fine here, but good pressure from Sponge as the Dragon has spawned, and DRX are faster grouped here on the bottom side, but they don't have control.
Well, Sponge going to get poked out here. We have to remember T1 do have scaling on their side, so DRX need to keep up the pace. And yes, they're winning now, but it's only by 1.2, so...
Small victories.
We're singing their praises while we can. Well, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and we'll see if that continues to be singable. For the moment, though, T1 in a really nice position. Carrier blocking the entry here.
I've seen this one before. Sponge looking for another heist angle. He is in the pit. Owner is going to spot him out. His daggers are not connecting. Rich on that flank angle, but he's on that ward. And headbutt out. No Magnet Storm for you, Andal. Still Carrier taking a lot of damage. That is going to be the Drake going over to Owner. Somehow that Shock Blast is actually going to miss. That's going to force Rich to flash away. Some decent damage here from the Between Worlds, but the answering Deadly Flourish is too good. And there is the shutdown. Straight over to the GOAT as T1. They'll take the Drake and a whole bunch more.
That was definitely a UCal moment. Bit of an ambitious play. Sometimes they work out, and often they end up not working out and backfiring in a big way, and Owner re-engages, and Faker is able to clean up the kill with the flourish you mentioned. Not Faker's flourish, but of course the flourish helping him clean up that kill. Great play from Carrier here as well. This is why you pick Alistair and Darrell. Just push on Doug, because if that ends up being a big Magnet Storm, maybe they can follow up on that UCal ults that group instead of ulting here. And I think at this point the fight is clearly over.
Well, there's an Emperor's Divide. Rich cannot go to the skies because he's been to the skies recently. UCal is going to come down and see what he can do here as Doran is dead. Faker is under the turret, sets up his own, but I think UCal will have enough damage to finish this off. It's going to take a bit of time as he flashes as well. Finally, the auto comes in, and that's a double kill for the guy that just died. I think that's pretty good reparations there.
Almost feels like for so much of this year you could flip a coin on a UCal play. You don't know how it's going to go, but it's starting to feel like a bit of a weighted coin. He just keeps coming up with victories here as Rich comes over here to try to defend this turret. This is, you know, some LCK Cup Rich action right here. It seems like initially, but he does have a teleporting UCal coming through, and he lives long enough to where this ends up being a double for UCal. The electrocute proc is actually what does Doran in, sadly for him, and then Faker kills the turret, sets up the Sun Disc, but unfortunately there's just not enough time to survive here. Even with UCal taking that turret aggro, it doesn't do that much damage.
Yeah, getting the bone plating at the right timing there as well for Faker keeps him alive for that one extra auto attack, but the Sun Disc doesn't do enough, so not going to be a huge deal. Malignant's now completed for UCal, and the Shadow Flame, as I say it. He is so big.
He is ready to side lane into Nazir. I think he's very happy to side lane into a Rumble. And he's a force to be reckoned with in team fights as well. With 6 Dark Seal stacks and augmented Sork shoes with the feats of strength.
Yeah.
He's about as big as an Aurora can be at 17.5 minutes in.
Ooh, Deadly Flourish just barely missing here as Sponge throwing his daggers, both of them into Owner, that bleed. That nerf needs to come in, because it just feels like it does a whole lot. Not going to be able to find that dagger there, though, as Deadly Flourish now onto Teddy. He's going to have to get out of here. Does use the barrier, and Sponge tanking a few of these shots up, and my God. Welcome back, Guma. He's doing a fair bit of damage here on his Jhin, as Rich, with that W in range form, will be able to do a fair bit of work to this turret, but not if Doran turns up, clears out the wave and the Jace at the same time.
Yeah, gets the ult out of Doran and does a little bit of extra damage with his grubs. Not quite able to take the turret down, but significant damage does occur, and they have a pretty big lead right now. It's been, you know, it's been 1,000 gold. It's dropped down a little bit. It's been back and forth every time DRX wins these exchanges, but T1 have kept it close, and we've been really singing the praises of DRX, and I think that's because expectations coming to this series were, you know, they probably get crushed by T1, right? But so far they've been making these fights really, really close. They've been winning some of them. UCal's having a fantastic game. They're playing the map well, but is it well enough? Is it a big enough advantage to overcome what is going to be a late game scaling Faker is the question. Right now he's 1,300 gold ahead individually. UCal, that is to say, well, the rest of his team needs to follow suit as this Nefiri is going to struggle to kill targets later on. She doesn't get super accelerated.
Yeah, I would say so.
And she's behind as well.
Now building towards the Black Cleaver, coming in relatively soon. But Ona does have the Sundered Sky already. GUMAYUSI now with his rapid fire cannon done. A little bit of a hybrid build here on the Jhin. We'll see what he does decide to build in. Just feels a little bit like he just doesn't quite know which direction he wants to go in, but hitting shots from a long way away is something that's going to work out relatively well. Charge from the Rift Herald trying to come in here, and that is going to successfully happen. It doesn't do too much more than that.
He has been hitting a lot of shots so far. He hasn't secured too many eliminations just yet, but the accuracy has been quite nice on his flourishes and on his curtain call. So that's a good sign for what the rest of these team fights can look like later on when he's got this big front line of the Xin Zhao. He's got the Azir to peel for him and Alistar to peel for him. He's got Zeke's as well online. Looks like Rich is going to finally take this turret down. Well, he doesn't commit to it. They have some river vision. I think he certainly can commit to it.
Yeah, he's pinging, and Andal is going to get headbutt pulled. Will need to get out of here, I think, and does do so. T1 will let him live for the minute. Speaking of letting things live, Rich is going to not let the turret live. We'll take that one down. The rest of T1 a little bit slow in the rotation, won't be able to stop the Jace after he does manage to do that. So just a little bit more money going over to DRX on the back of that play.
Pretty interesting build here from Rich as well with the Shojin first and Swifties with the tier online. So he's going to go for the Broom on the second. Seen this a little bit more recently, but very different from the tank builds of Jace we were watching a lot earlier this year.
Yeah, the Drake going to be taken here by T1. That's going to be their prize after they do push Rich away. So one away from Soul Point here for T1, but it's once again Chemtech Soul. There are a lot of Chemtech Souls.
There were a lot of Dragon scientists that did claim that Chemtech Soul was bugged, and that's why we saw it a ton earlier this year. I assume that's been fixed, but I don't know. I'm starting to question with how many we've had already here in LCK 2025, but perhaps the next patch will bring us some more fire and earth and wind and all of that. It'll get a little bit more
Captain Planet. Yeah. That's what we're requiring here.
Yukal, like many mid laners we've had so far in this first week of LCK, is the guy, right? We saw it with Vikla, we've seen it with BDD. He's got the money, he's got the tools to carry. He's already in such a good position. He just needs to win those fights now with the money he has. And I think that if he can win one or two more big fights before T1 really get this Azir fully online, DRX can win this game. But it's going to be on the back of his shoulders, and he's definitely bracing his shoulders right now.
Yeah, it's looking nice. Those shoulders look pretty good. There you go. Nicely done. Doran with 2 items now completed. Haven't seen too much Bloodletter's Curse here in the LCK, but is able to complete that one. We'll be able to shred some more of the magic resist, and that'll help Faker out. And so that feels nice.
Faker, who just now got his Nashers as well. So
2 item spikes coordinated between the solo lanes.
Feeling very good about what their next few fights could look like. 2.5 minutes until the Herald, which is where T1 at the moment are mostly grouped. Still a ways away, of course, but trying to put some pressure on that turret to give them a little bit more space up there would be ideal. But T1 also don't want to force any unnecessary fights right now. Even though 2 items online here for the Azir, still a scary position into this super fed Aurora right now.
Yeah.
And the Fury's sitting on 2 items as well, so they'll maybe look for a pick. They're going to look to try to take any further control of that top side.
Yeah, Sponge was actually waiting to see whether Doran was going to move up. Doran doesn't, and so therefore not going to find any joy there. Arakan still up and available. As the captive audience is just littering this mid lane, as we can see. Yukal will be able to clear out this wave.
It does feel like Rich has kind of been able to do whatever he wants this game. He did get punished the one time, but it wasn't really a true punish because obviously there was the Yukal double that followed it. And he's just been able to sit down here, took the turret out, has been able to free push and free farm. He's 300 gold behind Doran, who's up 2 kills on him, but he is a 2-item Jace now.
Yeah.
And, you know, his poke with an Nefiri to follow up, the Corki to follow up, with the Aurora that's insanely fed. It feels like he just kind of was allowed to push up far in these lanes, and there was no answer.
I think these Nefiri resets should be more possible with a composition like the one DRX has put together. In comparison to what we saw in our previous series from KT, I think that this might be able to work. We'll just have to see right now. Andal once I've seen this one before.
They keep almost killing him.
Yeah, he's going to crash down over that wall again after the Ignite comes in, but this time Owner is going to follow. He presses ult, wind becomes lightning, bullets become attached to Teddy, and Andal's going to walk his way out. So ultimately it is just the same result.
It's a flash taken away from Andal, which is pretty big for a rel. So that's a trade-up, I would say, for T1, but it's not enough to secure them this topside turret necessarily because they just don't have push up there.
Minute and a half on the Chemtech Drake, but there is also a Baron coming up. This is Yukal. Oh, there's another headbutt bulb. Carrier really wanted to pick up player of the match today, and I'll give it to him. That's going to be Owner taking down the kill off the back of the cow.
It's just on a ward there, and now they can get whatever they want. They want Herald, they want Otacon, they want this top turret. They're going to start with Otacon, which is a bit of a scary choice.
Flanking. Carrier coming in, looking for it again. As Sponge going untargetable. Rich with some shock blast angles potentially. That equalizer, great spot, but Faker just wipes them off it. Andal trying to stay alive, and he will fail.
Teddy coming up here. Rich has this turret to play through.
Oh, God. Well, can the shock blast actually land? That's the question. The answer is no, because he's going to be dead. Carrier diving in one more time, and the doggo's on the ground. Teddy, another one of these doggos, is going to be in a bit of trouble as Carrier is down to 1 health, but he is still able to walk his way out. The flash comes in from Teddy, and that should still keep him alive. Okay, Yukal's flashing forward. Does manage to take down the jungler. That might mean that Otacon is going to be okay. Deadly Flourish coming on in here as the 1-2 punch, and it's a double! Teddy, I don't know about that one, though. The captive audience goes off, and I think Teddy knew that he was dead. Guma just comes on over and punishes. Andal's back up one more time.
I mean, that guarantees there's no real ability to actually Otacon without a jungler. You know, they had a lot of damage there, but taking out Owner there, taking out Doran really limits your opportunities here. They can't get the turret either. This is super broken up by DRX as they try to come over here and deny. They don't have a lot of vision over the Otacon pits. They kind of have to just face check it, go into this choke point. It's a fantastic equalizer, as you mentioned, to stop the retreats here. And then Rich tries to hold turret here because there's nothing else he can do. Teddy comes up and tries to save him. If Yukal is like 10 seconds faster on dying, you know, if he's up, then they can actually win a fight here maybe, but instead Rich just kind of dies. And then Owner over chases. And as we all just saw, unfortunately for him, Yukal is still fed, and he's
a bit of a psycho as well.
Yeah, and they kill Doran, which stops any potential Otacon take, but Teddy does give his life for it, and we reset.
Well, Andal crashing forward, and the curtains, they have been called. Andal, I mean, he's just dead. Sand Soldiers will take him down. Sponge a little bit late on that on-target ability, but it might be enough to get himself out of there.
I mean, the fact that T1 has so much vision control over this river right now means that DRX feel compelled to kind of keep trickling in and checking and trying to find some information. There's so many objectives to take.
Oh, the Baron.
Oh, it's a T1 Baron. It's 27 minutes in, but it feels a little bit early.
Well, Guma is trying to follow up on the engage there from Carrier as Teddy gets over this wall, I believe unbeknownst, as he's now spotted.
Yukal is still big.
Oh, okay. Carrier is going to try and get in there. Sponge going untargetable. Emperor's Divide is going to throw Yukal in. He pops on over as Carrier likely to go down, but I think that's a decent trade. They've taken down the jungler as well. Not sure what Teddy was doing, and now Owner is going to be able to transition this into a Baron. Somehow it worked. I have no idea how that all sort of worked into itself, but it's, I mean, T1, I guess, calculated.
I mean, there's just so many objectives to take. There was not a lot of vision for DRX, but I think they really liked that game. Lemmings, do you remember that game where, they kind of walk forward? They did a little bit of that because without vision, without a control over these areas, they keep kind of coming forward here with no real setup, with no numbers advantage. But look at the map. Look at where Corki is. Teddy's nowhere near this. Rich is nowhere near this. They know T1 are likely all in the area, and then they give him another kill. Coming into here, Carrier has ult, so ulting him isn't necessarily a good idea here. Sponge can, of course, press W to get away, but Faker finds the angle, and Yukal almost gets the kill, sure. Then Teddy just dives in and to kill support, and then also dies, and then Baron and Otacon go over. DRX lost control, and then doubled and tripled down on trying to fight for it back, and so T1 get the objectives, but also get multiple kills worth of gold. And what was a 1,000 gold lead for T1 is now a 5,000 gold lead.
Yeah, I think they might also be getting another one, as that was really cute from Rich. Nice flash, avoids the headbutt pole. But still, T1 with all of the control of this map that they would like. Owner going to be able to move on over here and look to take down the red buff, and he will be able to successfully do that as well. Deadly Flourish avoided by Sponge, but man.
I mean, T1 are just the kings of objectives. They're so good at setting up on them, playing around vision, looking for turns. DRX fell right into their trap, and what looked like a fairly risky Baron really wasn't with the control they had, and I mean, I don't know if they might just win the game off this.
Well, Owner once again going in, gets the knock up, and down goes the doggo. The curtains have been called, and it may just be curtains on this game. Faker picking up a kill to start this one off. Carrier tanking as much as he would like. Remember, they have the withdraws at the same time, as Guma not quite able to land that one, but he flashes forward, and that should finish off the kill onto Rich. Doran realizing that a whole bunch of his buddies are no longer here. Owner not going to actually get recalled because he did have a GA. He's got 3 items. This Xin Zhao is so incredibly large. They take the inner turret, and they're going to break open the base.
Yeah, Doran's just looking to grab an inhibitor on his way out here. Ando will be the first to respawn, and he's not going to be the one to say anything about it. Look at the angle here Owner has. Faker is able to follow up so easily, even though the Nefiri dodges the initial CC. Faker has the follow-up ult, and that is a dead dog.
Oh, man.
And I guess all dogs go to heaven, but T1 is looking to send them there again. I mean, look, with the withdrawals that they have, there's like no loss here. There's no reason not to go in. And that they did. Now they're almost 10,000 gold ahead.
Yeah, this is all of a sudden an extraordinary blowout. And it all happened off the back end of that Otacon Baron play. T1 just controlling the map so well. And Faker now looking for an opportunity onto Yukal. Deadly Flourish connecting somehow. I didn't even see that. Double Pulverize comes through from Carrier. The layering of the Equalizer is not quite enough, but that doesn't matter. I don't know about the ulti there from Yukal, but I think he was just really scared. And who would blame him as T1 are bearing down on the base of DRX. It was a decent try. The early game was okay. Yukal kind of got fed, and then it mattered about 0.
T1 are just so good at playing the map, so good at playing around vision. Their coordination is matched by very few teams in the world, as Teddy is trying to hold the wave. I get he's dead.
I mean, he might actually kill both of them. Doran comes in with a scrap shield, so he's not going to die, as Faker was almost bleeding to death, but he's got some honey fruit here.
And I mean, when you look at how this game really turned on its head, it's just a few mistakes from DRX, and T1 is a team that will punish those incredibly hard and take everything. You know, this was a game that looked playable, looked winnable, and it wasn't about scaling. It wasn't about, like, suddenly, okay, T1 are scaled. It was just DRX making some mistakes, playing too greedy, and then instead of just saying, all right, this is really unfortunate, we lost control of the Baron pit, they just kept going in one by one and giving T1 not only the Baron and the Otacon, but several kills, and the gold lead and the map just balloons away from you after that is... Yeah, I mean, Teddy, you know...
He at least has some damage.
That's one. I mean,
the wind becomes lightning, and the Valkyrie actually does a lot.
It was cool. I mean, he played well, you know?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of AD carries just fall over and die there. At least he was able to get one back. It doesn't necessarily matter in this game when you see all the red arrows pointing to T1 with big numbers next to them.
Really big numbers.
I mean, look, Yukal was the smallest number, but remember how big of a lead he had before.
Yeah, the 3.5K, as far as Owner's advantage is concerned, is really telling us some things. This Xin Zhao is a huge problem. Owner is so incredibly good at this champion. It's good to see that what we were saying earlier on is kind of exemplified by the way that he's played this one out so far. And welcome back, GUMAYUSI. After 3 months of not playing, this guy is looking real good. Has augmented those first couple of items that felt underwhelming with an Infinity Edge and a Lord Dom, so he's doing plenty of damage now. Doran might need to be a little bit careful, I guess, but maybe he also doesn't, as Owner goes in, almost 3 taps. Sponge gets in another couple, and Faker is the one that actually finishes it off in the end. Equalizer just to celebrate, as Carrier looking for a bit of an angle here. He'll be able to get there, and my God, the damage of this Xin Zhao is obscene, and it's actually GUMAYUSI that finishes off a bunch of these kills. Doran, maybe move a little bit further out so you don't die to the Nexus turrets, but it doesn't matter. It's an ace. That's going to be the Nexus going down, and T1 in their first game looking pretty good.
There were some stumbles early on. There were some